we are going to create computers that are able to do a lot of the rote thinking for us. What that means is, I think, the way that humans differentiate ourselves is that we're going to have judgment and taste, right? Those are very defining psychological characteristics, in my opinion. But what that means is if you go back to like how school is taught, what you said is very limiting for what the world is going to look like in 30 years. You know, in 30 years where you have a PhD assistant that's in your pocket that can literally do all of the memorization, spell checking, grammar, all of the fact recall for you, teaching that today is probably not going to be as important as interpreting it. Like, how do you teach kids to learn to think, not to memorize and regurgitate? So we have to flip, I think, this education system. We have to try to figure out a different way to solve this problem because, like, you can't set a children in this generation up, our kids, to go and have to compete with a computer. I mean, that's crazy.
It's crazy. That thing can make a Drake song in 3 minutes.
The computer is going to win.
Yeah.
So what can't the computer do is, I think, maybe a reasonable question. And I think the computer, in a lot of cases, can't express judgment. It'll learn. But today, it's not going to be able to the same way that humans can. It's going to have different taste, right? So the way that we interpret things, the same way that you motivate people, like all the psychology, all these things that are sort of like these softer skills that allowed humans to cooperate and like work together, that stuff becomes more important when you have a fleet of robots. And so if you go all the way back to school, today, the school system is unfortunately in a kind of a pretty tough loop. Like, look, teachers, I think, are like going to become the most, the top 3 or 4 important people in society. And the reason is because they are going to be tasked with teaching your kids and my kids how to think, not to memorize. Don't tell me what happened in the War of 1812. You can just, use a search engine or use a ChatGPT and find out the answer. But why did it happen? What were the motivations? If it happens again, what would you do differently or the same? And those kinds of reasoning and judgment things, I think we're still far ahead of those computers. So the teachers have to teach that, which means you have to pay them more. You have to put them in a position to do that job better.